What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Wrestling with Things channel. And if you're brand new to this channel, don't forget to slide your thumb at the bottom right corner of the screen. Wherever you are watching, whatever device you are watching from, hit the subscribe button to keep up with all our interviews and conversations with professional wrestlers and other wrestling content creators in this space for all of our conversations and analysis on the hottest topics in the wrestling and entertainment and sports world. Also, let's get right into it. One of my favorite apps to get my pro wrestling and sports news off of is the Bleacher Report Team Stream app. And I love to go through their articles because they're always well written and thought provoking. This article is going to be by Erik Beaston. So without further ado, let's go through this article, unpack the takes, and I encourage you to think of your own takes as you're going in and let us know your takes on Survivor Series in the comment section. So let's go right through it. Bear with me a moment. All right. Roman Reigns, CM Punk unite. Top takeaways from WWE Survivor Series War Games 2024 results. Shout out to Erik Beaston, longtime senior writer for Bleacher Report, giving him his flowers for this thought-provoking article. Now let's dissect it and pick this apart. Io Sky still the MVP of War Games. I gotta agree with this a little bit because whenever you need someone to execute a very high, very risky, high level, high flying spot, Io Sky just always makes it look so easy. People might think it's easy to do a backflip moonsault off a high cage like that onto everybody. Of course, everybody keeps her safe with her landing, but it's not easy to do what she does from how high she does it. Every single thing she does just looks beautiful and smooth and executed flawlessly by Io Sky. So she definitely is the MVP of the War Games match. She makes everything look right. It's almost like Erik names. It's like Shelton Benjamin for what he did with the Money in the Bank. The Money in the Bank always was a great match and always a great spectacle. But when Shelton Benjamin was doing spots that nobody else was able to do and get that off the ground, it really helped Money in the Bank become what it's become today. So shout out to Io Sky. Rhea Ripley's star is burning brighter than ever. I agree with this, but here's my only pushback to this. I think Rhea Ripley's a star. I think she's established. I think she's already a future Hall of Famer. She's clearly one of the most popular and over wrestlers, man or woman, on the roster. She's a made woman. But on the flip side to that, I think because she's such a star, especially on the Monday Night Raw roster, creative has relied on her a little too heavily. Now, don't get me wrong. She has some unfinished business with the current women's world champion, Liv Morgan, who obviously took Judgment Day, and Dominic. So I understand that there's unfinished business there with her and Raquel Rodriguez. However, I think WWE has become so enamored with Rhea Ripley being the big star that she is that sometimes they could forget and get tunnel vision to develop their other baby faces on the roster. Those like Lyra Valkyria could use some extra development and get featured with some wins more, like Natalia. Even people, we have a soft brand split now, but even those like Selena Vega, if you needed to spotlight her a little bit more on Raw, we didn't get to see too much. I know she's a heel, but maybe she would work as a babyface. The entrepreneur businesswoman Kiana James, that's a newcomer you could be developing right now on TV. I think the point stands. Rhea Ripley's a star. She is a made woman, but I would like to see, especially after Survivor Series, see WWE start to build up some fresher contenders in the women's division. Shinsuke Nakamura completes reboot with the historic United States Championship run. For those that may be late to the party, spoiler alert, Shinsuke Nakamura had a huge upset victory on LA Knight. Listen, this is the time, every time WWE does something surprising, we're going to get the controversy. Millions are going to say LA Knight's reign was too short. They should have never did that. Every reign needs to be 4 years long, like Roman Reigns, and every title reign needs to be at least a year minimum for it to feel right. And then there's going to be other people that say, yes, Shinsuke Nakamura finally getting the respect he deserves, even though he's a multi-time Intercontinental Champion and a multi-time United States Champion. So basically, after these things, we always get the wrestling audience split. The reign was either too short in their point of view, or Shinsuke Nakamura needed this win, and the sky is falling with whoever lost. I'm here to provide the balance that, look, two things could be true. I think Shinsuke was the right winner here, and I also think LA Knight will be okay. First of all, one could argue that LA Knight is so over that he could have already been in the World Heavyweight Championship picture or the WWE Championship picture already, but it's clearly crowded on Cody Rhodes' side of the things with Kevin Owens and a possible Randy Orton, and then The Rock lurking. Who is to say that within the next couple of months, LA Knight might not be a contender to go after Gunther, or he might not win the United States Championship back. I think LA Knight's going to be fine. He's still one of the most popular wrestlers on the roster. He has the catchphrase that the audience will always participate in. He has the merchandise. He's the total package. I don't think this is going to diminish him. In fact, I think because SmackDown was a little bit low on heels, this could either put LA Knight in chase mode to have a road to redemption back to the US title, or like I said, he could be a very big favorite to win the Royal Rumble, and who knows, go after Gunther. LA Knight versus Gunther, match never happened on the main stage. I buy that. I think that's a hell of a story to tell. It's fresh. It's two of the most over guys in the business. It's a pure good guy versus a pure bad guy. I think everybody would buy into it. Now to Shinsuke Nakamura. This guy has always been popular with the fans. He's always been a good wrestler, but over the years, his pushes and momentum always seems to start then stop, start then stop. I think the new entrance, the new music, the new presentation, this darker, more malicious king of strong style Shinsuke Nakamura has brought new life to his character. And I think Triple H, Nick Khan, and the front office have a chance to sink their teeth into a fresh heel with a fresh presentation. And I'm all for him being the United States Championship. Excuse me. I'm all for him being the United States champion, I should say, because Shinsuke Nakamura is always reliable. He'll always give great matches. And I know there's the language barrier, but I think he's one of those wrestlers that his aura and his presence and his actions does the speaking for him. But I will say this, if they plan on keeping the title from him for longer than 2-3 months, I do think to add to his presentation, maybe a mouthpiece might make sense, maybe a faction. I think there's a good chance here to keep Shinsuke Nakamura relevant and keep his character growing with this championship reign. I don't want it to just be a reign where he just holds it and he never talks and we just get very short sentences from him. I think you could either have him have a mouthpiece or lean even more into those promos he was cutting in his feud with Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes, where he was cutting it in his language of Japanese and you gave us the subtitles. I think subtitles are effective in those ways, but let me know what you guys think. Let's go down to the next take here. Sheamus's Intercontinental title pursuit is one of WWE's best stories. Yeah, I agree with this. You know, people do not appreciate Sheamus. He is underrated. He is undercelebrated. And one could arguably he is underappreciated. He's all of the above. Underrated, undercelebrated, underappreciated. And one day we're going to look back when he retires and say, man, this guy was consistent and like he's done it all in the business except for win the Intercontinental title. And I agree. I think this is one of the low key best long term storylines that WWE has going. You know, he won the WWE Championship in his rookie year from John Cena. He's a multi-time tag team champion. He's been United States champion. He's won a Royal Rumble and King of the Ring. Like this guy is the most quiet, low-key Hall of Famer, arguably in history. But he has not won the IC Championship. And in all fairness, Survivor Series should not have been his night because Braun Breaker is on fire. Every time he's in the ring, he captivates the audience. The dogs are always barking in the crowd. He's connecting with the audience real fast. And not to mention, Braun Breaker's first reign was cut short by Jey Uso. It should not be cut short even by a living legend like Sheamus. But this is a great story, and I know Sheamus will get paid off sometime. It'll pay off. Sheamus will win that Intercontinental Championship. I wouldn't even hate it if they're waiting till WrestleMania or a bigger stage to do it. But right now, Braun Breaker holding the IC title is the right call. He's a fresh champion, and he's one of the future building blocks of the company. But shout out to Kaiser, Sheamus, and Braun Breaker. Arguably the match of the night. Very physical. Great addition to Survivor Series. I'm glad they all made the card. Damian Priest's issues with the Judgment Day are far from over. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. It's time to end this Judgment Day stuff. I think the Judgment Day is kind of holding Damian Priest back. Look, I get it. And I think this is a constructive critique of Triple H. Not everything needs 10 million chapters to the story. With the bloodline, it's justified. There's so much stories to tell. There's so many characters to introduce. There's so many family members. There's so much gray areas and dynamic. I get it. But not every story needs to be stretched out for months upon months upon months upon months for betrayal after betrayal. We get it. Finn turned on him. Damian Priest already whipped his ass. Damian Priest already got his decisive win. I don't see enough of a reason for Damian Priest to have to go backwards and go back to Finn. I get it. Finn screwed him over a second time. But why are we having essentially the same finish you use for SummerSlam and use the same finish for Survivor Series to screw over Damian Priest? I thought they could have easily, left that Finn Balor feud alone and just had Gunther versus Damian Priest have a clean finish. But I understand. For one, I think the way to keep Damian Priest relevant and not drawn and held back by Finn Balor is instead of going the route of another grudge match with Finn Balor and Damian Priest, maybe you lean into Damian Priest versus Finn Balor versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight title and have Dominic kind of screw over Finn Balor by accident maybe or some sort. And then we could have the official divide of Dominic, Finn Balor, and the rest of the crew, because I think Judgment Day has overstayed their welcome. The minute Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest aren't there anymore, it's time to get rid of it. CM Punk, Roman Reigns overcome tension and united for OG Bloodline win. Yeah, I thought it was a good win. It was the right call. Since Roman Reigns has came back, he lost that bad blood. Him and Cody Rhodes lost that bad blood. Am I getting that right? Actually, they won at bad blood. They lost at Saudi Arabia, excuse me. And then they won at Survivor Series. But the point is, Roman Reigns and the OG Bloodline have looked very vulnerable. They've looked and rightfully so, because you want Solo's bloodline to look dominant. But I think they needed this win last night in Survivor Series War Games. It was a good, decisive win. But I think what we're all wondering now is when the CM Punk and Roman Reigns start their beef here, and what is the favor that Paul Heyman owes CM Punk. Look, with Paul Heyman's history, it wouldn't be surprising if down the line he becomes CM Punk's wise man or tries to be both their wise man in some sort of way and then gets forced to choose. But you never know. It could be non-betrayal related, and maybe Paul Heyman's agreement was, look, I could get you a world title shot, or if Roman Reigns is ever world champion again, you're first in line. I think there's a lot of different ways you can play with this and keep us fans guessing. But ultimately, it was very epic to see CM Punk and Roman Reigns stand in the ring together, because I don't think they've acknowledged each other, pun intended, since CM Punk's been back for about a year. So to see those two characters and egos cross paths the way they did, and they both stayed true to their personalities, was great. And all of a sudden, you got another potential WrestleMania main event. I mean, I know Cody Rhodes versus The Rock is an option. The Rock versus Roman Reigns is probably the option. Cody Rhodes, Rock versus Roman Reigns is another option. But now if they want to go that route, Roman Reigns versus CM Punk is an option. Even though I do still think Seth Rollins versus CM Punk has to be paid off at a WrestleMania. It feels right. But you never know. They could pivot and go with Roman Reigns and CM Punk and Cody Rhodes and The Rock. But that's my takes here on this Bleacher Report article. Let us know what you think about Survivor Series in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube at Wrestling with Things. Like, share, comment, subscribe.